Hey guys, it's me, your host, Sean Provencher, and I'm really excited for today because we're digging in on a topic that I think tons of people, and myself included, I'm 100% guilty of this. Tons of people wait way too long into building their business before they start to look at this. Okay, so here's where we're at so far. We are starting a new series inside the podcast where we're looking at team building. And specifically, what I'm doing is I'm taking you through the steps to make your first hire. And I'm giving you kind of the landscape for how I look at designing a role and going out and finding the right person and getting them launched and doing all that stuff. What I'm going to cover today is it literally should be step -1, if not 0. Like, this should be something that every one of us should have already done before we ever got to the point that we start thinking about hiring and leading others, because it's kind of a foundational piece that our business should just be able to answer on its own. Most of us don't. So I'm going to put it in here kind of as a stopgate. It's designed to be something that should slow you down, make you think a little bit before you move to step 1, so that you are attracting the right kind of people, you have the right kind of mindset about what you're building, and just generally, it's a huge opportunity to improve your business as an entity on its own. Okay, so we're in this series on building teams and getting people to come and work with you. Last week was actually the first one in the series, and really what we dug in on that one was kind of the gut check, like, hey, am I ready yet? Do I know what it means to move into leadership? Because even if you only have one person in your business, that makes you a leader. You're leading that person, so it's really important that you come into it right. And today what I want to talk about is understanding your mission, vision, values, the mission that your business is on, the vision for where you're going, and the values for how you conduct yourself along the way. And I think that there's a lot of different reasons that these are hugely important, but I'll give you just a few as a teaser for this episode, just to kind of get you excited. I'm sure you can see that this is something I'm excited about, and hopefully this will help you kind of understand why this is something that I think is so bloody important. Okay, so first of all, understanding this is going to attract the right people to the team. It's going to act as a magnet to people who are the right kind of people, and setting your mission, vision, values up in such a way that it is kind of like a test that you can share with people. Be like, if you're in alignment with this, then like, we're on the same path, let's go. But also using it almost like a filter to say like, hey, you know what? The reality of the situation here is that like, if you aren't this kind of person, you're not going to be a fit with our team. And so let's not waste each other's time, and let's just kind of move on our own anyways. I think if you use it that way, it can be a really great way to get the right people on the bus. The second thing that's really great about having a mission, vision, values is it aligns your group to something bigger than just money. And I could go on a whole bunch of other reasons, but I want to use this kind of just a segue into the first section, because really what I want to talk about is why people join teams. Okay, so I'm going to go back to mission, vision, values, and we'll dig deep on what each of them is and how you choose yours, and kind of how you know when it's right. But just generally speaking, if someone's thinking about coming in and devoting a significant portion of their life, like they're going to be spending the majority of their waking hours with you building this thing, there are different reasons that they would do that. So I think the first one, the most topical one that most people think about with employment or a role or taking a job, the most common one is going to be money. So in real estate, this would be like splits, right? Like, what are your splits? What can I expect to earn? How am I going to get there? And I like to look at this kind of as a two-sided one, because a lot of the time they look at splits, and if they're looking at splits, they're also looking at leads. That's usually the conversation. So if you'll get this level 1 kind of conversation, usually they're going to be like, I'm interested, like, tell me, like, how many leads can I expect to get? What are the splits going to be? And I used to consider this one of the most significant red flags, to be honest. When I was interviewing people for my team, if they were stuck on this, I would often just stop the whole process. If I was early on and they brought it up in the first meeting, I'd usually say, well, we talk about that later when we get to that point. And if they're like, well, I'd really like to know, usually I'd be like, well, then you're probably not the kind of person we're looking for to come work with us in our business. So no problem, but no thank you. Okay. So the problem with splits and leads and money being the main reason that someone comes to work with you is that people will leave you for the same reason that they joined you. So if someone comes into your business and the premise of why they came in is money based, it's just because they thought that you would give them a really good deal, they're going to go and leave you really soon for the next better deal. And it's okay for people to move around and explore and find their next opportunity. I'm not saying that's bad. And I'm also not saying that we should try to pay people as little as possible. In fact, I try to pay the people who are inside my business as much as I possibly can, because I know that if I get the right person, they will offset so much more than the expense that they represent to me just through what they're able to do to help me move my business. So like, I want the best people. I want to pay them really, really well. And at the same time, I know that if someone comes in and all that they're interested in, and the most important thing to them is getting a good deal on something, then they're always going to have a mindset where they're looking for another deal. And they're not going to be attracted and anchored to my business specifically. They're just going to be anchored to, yeah, I'm here because I'm getting a good deal. It's not the kind of person that I want to be in business with. The next conversation is more of like an opportunity conversation. So you have someone who is looking at your business and they look at the opportunity that you represent to them. It could be to come in and serve a certain role. It might be that they could see themselves moving within the organization. And this to me is a much more attractive conversation, right? I'm always coaching people, like, you want to create a vision for your business that's big enough that someone else coming into your organization can get everything that they want for themselves in their world within your organization. They wouldn't have to go and try to find something, some next role outside of your organization. If someone wants to build $1 million business, I want to show them how we can build them $1 million business inside my greater umbrella, because that's going to be a huge win for me too. So I love the opportunity level conversation. That's like a level 2 conversation, right? It's where I'm saying like, hey, if you come work with me, here's the set of steps that we're going to move through together. You're going to become stronger. You're going to move into this next role, and you're going to have the opportunities that come with my business being part of your world. I think the level 3 conversation is the chance to be part. Well, I'll say it. The opportunity to be something, to be part of something bigger. So someone will see your business, they'll get excited about the fact that there's this kind of community, these people around them. Maybe as a group you're creating something and they want to be part of creating that. Maybe you've got this momentum, they want to be part of the momentum because it's going to push them and it's going to carry them as well. And so I think having part of what you represent be that culture, that movement, that like opportunity to go and run with this pack of people that you're excited just to be around, well, that's an amazing place to put us. It's like an amazing piece to have as well. I think the fourth level, so if we were going to continue along and say like, what would be stronger and stronger magnets for someone to want to come and be with you in your organization, then the fourth level, I think, would be a growth opportunity. So it's not about them to climb the rungs in your organization anymore. It's not about them just getting to be part of your crew. Now it's them having the opportunity to be a better version of themselves because they're associated with you. And this is really where I see a lot of organizations leveraging the experience and the wisdom and the strength of their leadership. So you have the person who runs this incredible team, and if you join this incredible team at any level, well, every single person on the team gets access to that person through a weekly call, or maybe if it's a smaller organization, like you can call them up, or you have a sit down once every quarter or every month, or whatever the structure is, depending on the size and the level of success and the number of people that are all involved. You often will see people who leverage this to an extremely high level. A great example is Place Inc., where Ben Kinney and Chris Suarez, they host calls each week where the entire company is invited. We're talking thousands of people here. And that's the piece of them that you get. It's like you get access to a 1 hour call once per week, and it's thousands of people on the call. But because that person is at that level, that they're so attractive, they're so amazing, then everyone who wants to be closer to that person, many of them will join that business, they'll join that team just to get that little sliver, that 1 hour a week that you get to be on a call with all these other people, but that person's there. And then level 5, I really think, is where people have a shared mission. So the shared mission could be some kind of philanthropic, for example. It could be that you want to be the best. That I've seen a lot of them. We're number one. Our mission is to be number one. So a shared mission is something that if you have a mission that's so strong and so attractive that you're willing to give a big portion of your life and devote your career to it. And you think about doctors, they're saving cancer and like changing people's lives and like removing these huge burdens to humanity. They'll dedicate their entire career to just one disease. Very commonly, right? Teams of people, billions of dollars are going towards this kind of mission because it's something that's so important to the people who it affects. And I think that there's probably nothing more powerful than having a team that's built around a shared mission. Because if you can do this, if all the people on the team all are circling this one thing, what can happen is, first of all, you're going to get a level of dedication that's unrivaled. But more importantly, the people who aren't in your team, that are just doing the business on their own, that might never have wanted to join a team, if they're also on the same mission as you and they see an opportunity to have a greater impact with their mission, even if they wouldn't have thought about joining a team, they'll probably come and work with you because their mission is something that might supersede their other priorities in their business because it's literally the number one thing that they set out to do. So again, I think that if you look at the levels, if you have a really strong and compelling and clear mission that you're dedicating yourself and your business to, and you can, convey that with people in a way that's really simple, I think that that is probably the most powerful thing that you could use to attract the right people. Not to mention, we were talking about like people who were in it for the splits and the leads, right? Like that's the very first level. Well, we don't want them on our team, but if we got the highest level people who weren't even thinking about joining a team and joining our team because of our mission, not only are we going to get the right people, the strongest, the most powerful people on our team, but they're going to stay. Because so long as I'm able to help them make a greater impact on their mission, they're not going to want or think that it makes sense to leave because the mission is the thing that supersedes all the other little details. Okay. So we talked about the different levels of attraction for why someone would join a business, and we finished up with mission. We know that that's probably going to be the most powerful magnet to the right people when it comes to bringing them into your world. So I set out at the beginning of the podcast to help you set your mission, vision, values. And what I want to do for the next little bit is I want to elaborate on what those three things really mean. Okay, so mission, vision, values. What are they? How do you determine what they are? Why is each one important? Why couldn't we just have one thing, mission, for example? How do you get about building them, and how do you describe them to people? So we're going to start with mission, and mission is it's something that I think a lot of people get mixed up on, right? It's something that we see a lot of really flowery language that just drives you crazy from corporations. Our mission is empowerment, enrichment, and people. And you're just like, what does that mean? Like, what are you even talking about, dude? Did you just get into a think tank and pull words from a hat until you had three that you liked? Was it your board members that came up with these? And did you ever even speak to the people who were in your business about them? So mission is actually something really simple. It's not a thing that you're ever going to achieve. It's the journey that you're on. It's what you're striving to do. It's not a point in time. It's not a place that you get to. It's what you're out fighting to get from the world or for the people in your business. Okay, so this is something that really should be tied, I think, back to something that's important to you. And it doesn't have to be some philanthropic, we're giving back to XYZ, we're changing or bettering this. It could just be something that's really important to you. Like it could be about creating financial freedom. It could be about wealth. It could be about time. It could be something that you have in your values. And I actually think that if you do this, it's more powerful because while there's going to be people out there who are like, well, I don't care about that. Those people, for every one of them that you lose, actually, I'll say this, for every 10 of those people that you lose, if you get one person who is a raving mad, screaming supporter of yours, they will make more noise than 10 people who went, meh, right? Okay, so what I like to ask myself is, if I didn't need to do the job or run the business that I do for money, what would I choose to wake up and do every day? What would that thing be? Because I think if it's something that you could build a business around, you're going to love doing it. If it's something that you can build a business that it supports that, you're going to love running the business because it's going to give you a bigger why, a bigger thing to keep pushing for. And as your business continues to grow and mature, if it's something that you're really passionate about, as you remove yourself from roles and step back from the busy, busy day to day, what might end up happening is you love it so much that you want to stay involved. And through time, that's going to create a lot more strength and foundational support. Like it's just going to make your business stronger and better in every way if it's something that's important to you. So what are some great examples of this? Okay, in real estate, one that we see a lot is creating wealth. Real estate is an outstanding wealth creation vehicle. It's something that if you can use it to accelerate your wealth, I mean, it's highly leveraged. It's well studied. It's something that has created more millionaires and more wealth than anything else on earth. And most importantly, you've got a license to trade. You have access to way more information than the average investor does. And for Christ's sakes, you're like an inside trader. You're seeing properties before they go to the market. You're seeing the showings getting booked on your listings. So you know more about this than almost anybody, especially if you're really good. So one thing that we often see, and I think that there's no need to apologize it, is that some realtors, their mission is literally just to create wealth for themselves, their team, and the people they serve. And I don't see any reason that you need to be apologetic about that. Another one that we see a lot is creating opportunity, right? When we think about the ladder that we're climbing in the first section, opportunity is a great thing to dig in on. So if you want to make the mission of your business to create opportunities for families to better their living situations and the people who join you in your business to rise up, well, then that's a fabulous mission. I think you're going to attract a lot of people. What's one thing that you can look at is when you're designing your mission, put some thought into put some thought into how the wording will be received both by your clients and your agents, like the people inside your team. Ideally, you have messaging that works for both. I don't think it would be very smart to have different messaging for your agents, like the internal messaging and the external messaging for your marketing. Depending on the business that you're building and what role you're filling in it, you can choose to vary this a little bit. So you could have your external marketing to home buyers and sellers that just has a slogan, and then you could choose to keep your mission, vision, values to be something that's more recited internally more often. So it's something that's just like constantly hammered internally. And I think that you could totally do that if you're really just focused on running the business and you weren't too worried about you and the stuff that you're putting this together for going out to clients. I think that a really strong mission, vision, values has maybe a better potential internally and in terms of attraction of other agents than with the public. But I think that it's really strong on both fronts. And if you can find a shared mission that can be used on both, then I think that that's a best case scenario. Continuing up the ladder, another example that you could think about is, okay, well, I could have a mission that centers around the idea of bettering the people who are part of our tribe. So that would kind of be like level 3 and 4, right? Like my mission is to grow the people inside my organization to be the best version of themselves, or something to that effect, so that you're showing people, like, coming in like, hey, here's what we do, everything that we do, me, my study and my focus, our structures and our systems and our training and our leadership, everything is designed to help you become a better version of yourself. I don't know, man, I'd scratch my head about working there. Like, that would be a pretty cool environment. If that was what they were putting together and everything was just designed to help me grow and be better and get more, I don't know, sounds pretty cool. Okay. And then finally, in Endgame, our goal is literally to partner with outstanding people and build amazing businesses. Like, that is our mission. So if you think about that, we put a lot of thought into, really what we want is to bring amazing coaches in and help them grow businesses of their own. So if I have a coach who's looking at coming in and working with us, what we're telling them is, like, our goal is to only bring the best in. So you get to be part of this, this thing that's bigger than yourself, of all these amazing people. And what we want to do is we want to help you build amazing businesses, right? But then think about that from the client-facing perspective. Partner with outstanding people, build amazing businesses. Well, if I tell that to one of my coaching clients, it lands exactly the same, right? Like, I'm partnering with you in supporting you and growing your business and getting you moving. And I'm also really focused on helping you build an amazing business. So when you look at this, try to put together something that works ideally on both fronts, so that it doesn't need to be veiled behind, any kind of walls or curtains, and you can not just internal, but put it out to the world. And then in addition to that, try to make sure that it's something that's really simple and understandable. I think because a lot of the time, like, I went back to the corporate example of, like, better products, outstanding, blah, blah, blah. And they just, like, throw buzzwords at this stuff sometimes, and it really doesn't actually connect with anyone. So your mission should be short, it should be concise, it should be kind of simple and understandable. It should be something that attracts the right people, because it gives them the opportunity to grow themselves, to get to where they're going, to be part of something bigger than them, than what they could do on their own. And then also just puts them in alignment with getting what they want out of the business. So you might consider talking a little bit about the likely things that people are going to come and, get into real estate for. And then finally, if it ties back to something that makes your heart sing, that you'd want to do even if you didn't need to show up and get paid every single day for it, then chances are it's going to be a better result in terms of the product and the way that you put it together, because you're excited about it and you're going to want to keep doing it longer. So it's a huge win on both fronts. All right, so we just dug deep on the mission, right? The mission is the greater cause that we're setting out to serve. And the vision, the second part of the mission, vision, values, the vision is something that's actually really simple. The vision is you doubling down on the mission and casting them the vision of what the world looks like once the mission has been accomplished. So I'm saying to them, my mission is to create wealth for those I serve. Like, let's say that was that. The vision would be, wealthy, financially stable members of my team and clients who I serve through blah, 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 for example. It's you elaborating and going deeper on helping them understand. So I shared in Endgame that our mission is to partner with outstanding people and build amazing businesses. Well, our vision is to help entrepreneurs create wealth by giving them the environment that they need to thrive. So we're just kind of describing in greater detail what it looks like. We're helping them actually create wealth for themselves. We're not just creating outstanding people and businesses. We're actually getting them the things that they want, like the freedom, the wealth, all of that kind of stuff. And we're doing it by putting them inside this environment where they don't need more than what they have. It's all right here. Okay. And again, I think that it's really important. Going back to one of the first points that we made, is this vision should be something that's big enough for everyone in your team to get to be part of. So it's not a vision that's, like, for example, I had someone once who was telling me about his mission and vision for his team, and it was to create financial security for himself. I was like, well, dude, why would anyone want to come and work with you? They're trying to create financial freedom for themselves. Plus, like if you make it bigger, your pie grows, right? Like it's easier to take a bigger slice of a bigger pie, right? You take the same size slice on a pie that's twice the size, you're going to get a lot more pie. So the idea is that this needs to be something that's big enough for all of them to eat at the same table from and still have leftovers to bring home for their kids. All right, so now we get into the last part of the mission, vision, values, and this is it. This is the values. And I think that the values, in a weird way, it's like they're the most important. I really think that the values, going back to one of the first things we were talking about, was using this as a screening tool, as like attracting people. If I was to say only one of these things that I could use to screen people out of my world, it would be the values. The values are really where you see how people are going to show up. And so in terms of just defining it, the mission, again, it's like, what are we setting out to do? The vision is, what does the world look like when we get there? And the values, it's like your moral compass. It's how you conduct yourself along your journey. Okay, so the values are things that you use to kind of say like, hey, this is the culture of our business. This is how we conduct ourselves. This is who the people who we're going to work with, this is who they are. And when you put this together with a really compelling mission, it acts as a way to make people say, yeah, that's me, or oh, hell no. Okay, so I'm going to share, just as an example, what the values are that we have inside our endgame business, like the way that we expect our coaches to show up, the way that we try as coaches to lead our clients to show up for themselves, for the people around them. So the first one's contribution. I really believe, and I know actually, this isn't a belief, this is something that I've proven to myself throughout my life, that if everyone in my circle gives and shares freely, we all get more, even though we gave away some of our little secrets. Okay, so for example, when I first got into real estate, I was at a brokerage where there wasn't a lot of sharing between agents. They thought of their business as this tightly kept secret. Everything was like inside this sealed box, and they'd often even try to trick each other, right? Like you'd have an agent saying like, oh, I heard you're almost getting a listing. That's so cool. Where is it? And then the next thing you know, they're like knocking on the door, trying to sneak in and get around you. Like this stuff happens. And I'm always still really guarded with like the details of my personal clients. But when it comes to like sharing a little bit in terms of what I'm seeing success with and then receiving a little bit back from the other people around me, what I found was that if I'm just open with people, it's amazing the amount that I get. And even if I gave you like some little hint, oh, by the way, like here's a great technique to close, the number of times that you might interview on the same exact client as me and then use that trick and beat me, the number of times that would happen compared with all the other times that I got like way more success in my life in general, just because I had a circle of people contributing to my growth around me, there's no comparison. Okay, so the first one is contribution. The second one is kind of a bit more about how you show up. So our second value is no saves. We're not going to save you. No one can do this for you but yourself. We can help you. I will bring, like you're the horse, I'm bringing the water. I'm going to show you everything you need to know, but ain't nobody going to go and get this for you. This is a hard business. This is sales. And we believe that if you want something, you got to go get it for yourself. And so that's our second one. It's really with how we expect and believe that not only our coaches, but also our clients should be taught to show up for themselves. Our third one is kind of our perspectives on business. So we've got a couple in here. Our third category is our perspective on how you should run your business. And the first one is time freedom. I really believe, and I've seen that far too many people that get into this business allow the business to take complete control of their lives, and they completely derail all of the things that were important to them. A lot of the time, for a reason that's not even in alignment with why they originally got into real estate. Like a lot of people got in and they were like, yeah, I really just want to make $100,000 or $200,000 a year, and that would be great. And I'm going to like work hard and serve my clients well, but I'm also going to have like vacations with my family. And then the next thing you know, they're like, oh, I need to like build a team and I'm doing this and I'm hiring all these people and I'm like stressing out and I'm working 99 hours a week and like I've got an ulcer and I'm fat because I'm not working out and I'm just like sweating all the time. And I don't know what's wrong with me, but I don't have time to go to the doctor. And like, slow down. You didn't even want this. What the hell are you doing? Like, just why? And I believe that you actually can have a really amazing, I know that you can have an amazing business because I've done it without working a lot of hours in a week. And so what I challenge my clients to do is work no more than you would in any regular job. In fact, your goal should be to work less. So our first one is time freedom. I want to help people get out of the stupid circle of overworking themselves and work smarter on setting goals for how they're going to restrict the amount of time that they spend inside their business. And this is something I am passionate about. I literally every single quarter, at the very least, I am setting goals surrounding how I am going to step further back from the things I have to do inside my business. And I work really hard on looking at how I use my time so that I have certain days where I'm heavily structured. I have other days where I have a lot of clear time and availability. I want to make sure that I have time for thinking. I save a lot of time for content creation and giving back. And I also have a lot of time that I'm very comfortable with the fact that I'm just not doing anything at all for my business and I'm with my family, I'm enjoying myself, I'm going exploring. It's my life, it's the way that I want to live, and you should make this a priority in your life as well. The next one that is one of our beliefs and values in how I believe a business should be set up is I think that you should try to make it fun. I believe that your business is something that can be fun. Now, I say this sometimes and I see agents say, well, I'm not going to, I'm not going to make my calls because that's not something I find fun. And that is not what I'm saying. You're going to have to do some work. This is a hard ass job. You're going to have to go and work your ass off and make yourself the most visible, best option to your clients. And you can find ways to make it fun. You can. Choose lead generation things that will give you more energy than the other ones and you'll feel better. Like I actually enjoyed door knocking. Did I wake up every single day and want to do it? No, of course not. There were days I didn't want to, but generally I thought it was really nice. I got to get out, I got some steps, I got to like walk around my neighborhood. Like it was great. I love creating these podcasts and these content. Like it makes me excited. I finish and I have more energy than when I started. This is fun. I work with amazing people. That's fun. Does it mean that every single day I want to do this and I don't want to have the other half of my life? No, of course not. But find ways to focus on the aspects of growing your business that you're attracted to as opposed to just doing the things that you feel like you ought to. And then within those things, find ways to make it fun and rewarding for yourself. And there are going to be things that you just got to do that you might not love. And you can do them for a while and then work on removing those things from your role so that you're not doing them all the time and you can just do the fun stuff. Makes sense, right? Cool. The last one, the last category that I like to think is part of building your values is your perspectives on life. So we talked about like how we think business should run. Well, what about life? So in Endgame, one of ours is abundance, right? Well, what does that mean? Well, first of all, I think we should be unapologetic about this. I do want to have the best life that I can. And a big part of that is having the financial means to do the stuff that I want to do and feeling like I'm making a really good living for myself and being proud of all the stuff that I've done. I don't think there's anything wrong with aspiring to be financially secure, even wealthy. And I make no apology for it. The next one is to live your best life. I think that over and above everything, your life quality should be one of the most important things that you do in your business. How am I saying this wrong? I think that in setting up your business, you should always measure and balance your life quality against the choices that you make. Is this thing that I'm doing going to be a positive contributor to my life quality? Am I making a choice that is going to get me the result but be a negative on my life quality? I think everything should come back and weigh carefully with that because there's nothing more important than living a great life. This is the one shot of time that you get. If you don't take maximum advantage and just love everything that you get to do, then you're not living the best life you could live. So I think that it's really important that you put that at a top level in terms of how you weigh all of the decisions that you make. All right, so mission, vision, values, we just ran through all of it. What I want to do is kind of just give you a couple last prods to make sure that you get the right stuff checked off before we let you move on. And I think the most important thing to look at this with is that this really just becomes a grounding rod for the culture in your business. If you were going to just tie everything back to one key piece, I think it's this values piece. The mission, vision, values. It's the thing that you should center everything in the culture of your business around. And so what does that look like? I was really fortunate. I've been mentored over the years by Gary Keller, and I had a one-on-one with him earlier this year where I just he poured into me for an hour. The guy's an amazing person and an unbelievable coach, and he's built arguably the most successful real estate business in terms of the brokerage world ever. So I asked him this question. I was like, how do you get the values and the culture piece? Like, how did you ingrain this so carefully? Because he's been very purposeful in how he set up the mission, vision, values. He goes even deeper on, and he has like beliefs and principles and all this stuff that he teaches people. And he said, Sean, it literally was the most frequently discussed thing when I taught. He's like, every single time that I taught, I'd visit it. He said every single time that he led meetings, they'd go through it. They'd print it on the wall. If you walk into one of his brokerages, like it's written on the wall. And then literally, and this guy's been doing the same values for 40 years. He picked up his coffee cup off the desk that he was sitting at. And he was like, look, right there. It was like literally branded onto his mug. So put it everywhere. Going back to the beginning too, this is something that you can use to screen people, right? Especially those values. If people aren't in alignment with your values, you're going to be like this. It's not a win for them. It's not a win for you. So use the values and the mission as a way to attract people and screen the wrong ones out. And remember that even an amazing candidate, like someone who you're like, oh God, I want to hire this person so bad. Even an amazing candidate, they're not going to be a fit if they're not in alignment with your values and your mission. Well, they might come in and they might like get some stuff done, but then they're going to go and find a better path to their mission once, your bus stops going on the most direct route. Okay. I think the most important thing just coming out of this whole thing is just not to skip this step. Because I know that like right now you're probably like, I want to hire a secretary. Like I just need this one person so badly. And you're like, this makes no sense, Sean. This is like taking a road trip to the side when I could just stay on the interstate. Like this is crazy. But if you take the time to do this and you find the right person and the two of you now are on this mission together, it will be so worth the wait. And you'll go so much faster when you get them running beside you that diversion you just finished will be like nothing over the course of your entire itinerary together. So don't skip this step. Make it something that you spend even just a few hours on. If you're not sure, go back and speak to your past clients. Speak to the people who you serve, the ones where they were really close with you and it felt like you were really on the same like wavelength and they were really happy and they loved what you did. Just ask them, what do you like about working with me, right? And I think if you do this, everything will be better in the long run just because it's going to give you, most importantly, a little bit of extra clarity and a bigger thing to run towards. Okay, I'm going to stop. I really appreciate all the time that you gave me today. I'm really excited for our next episode because that's where we're actually going to start to dive in and kind of unpack putting a role together and what are some of the considerations you should have for how you set that piece up. So thanks again for listening. I'm grateful for your time and I will see you on the next episode. Cheers.